at the bright lights? Do I avoid the bright lights? How does
just look at these guys in the middle.
Yeah. I guess first just give us an update on where things are at.
No worries. Well, we had a fire that started last night at about 11:30. Started around Rat Point, which is on the Queenstown Glenorchy Road, about 5 kilometres out to the north of Rat Point. Started right down on the lake edge, and very quickly jumped the main highway and headed up the face up to an area called Jesse Peak, about 1,000 metres above sea level.
Just this is on the opposite side of Queenstown, not the Wanaka side for.
Correct, that's right. So we head from Queenstown on the way to Glenorchy, and yeah, on that Queenstown Glenorchy Road.
Tell us what the location is. It in the area where it's residential?
No, it's reasonably remote. It started right down beside the lake, in a low area down there, frequented by campers.
How was it first spotted?
It was called in from a farmer across the other side of the lake who saw the fire.
Any ideas of how it started?
Not at this stage, no. We'll be starting formal investigations tomorrow.
Tell us the scale of firefighting overnight.
Yep, so yeah, we had around 50 firefighters throughout the night and continuing on throughout today. Currently we've got 8 helicopters out there, really working on a strategy of hitting it really hard this morning. We've got, our forecast is not overly favourable. We've got winds predicted to gust up to 90 k's an hour towards the end of the day, and unfortunately the rain that we're hoping to get won't fall until probably close on midnight. So we're hitting it really hard this morning to make sure that it doesn't move.
What's the situation at the moment? Is it still flames burning, or is it down to contained?
It's probably about 50% contained at the moment. So we have some very, very steep slopes and quite tricky edges that we'll have cruising for probably at least 3 days, perhaps longer. Yeah, at this stage we'd say 50% contained.
Concerns about residents? How far is it from the nearest residence, and do you have to do evacuations?
No, we did assess whether we needed to. We had police on standby to do some door knocking if required, but it never reached any of the trigger points that we had set. And yeah, the nearest dwellings are about 2.5 kilometres.
Tell us about the scale of how much it's covered over that short period.
It's about 150 hectares at the moment.
And what scale? Like it's burnt through, I understand also burnt fire poles, power poles, sorry.
Yes, the road from Queenstown to Glenorchy is currently closed. We had, as I say, the fire has jumped right across the road, so we've got sort of active flame around the road itself, around the highway. And also, when you've got very steep slopes above the highway, as the vegetation burns away, all the rocks that have been held up on those cliffs start to roll down. So before we can open that highway again, we have to do a safety assessment on those hazards that could impact that road.
Tell us what the fire's done in terms of power in Glenorchy.
Yes, unfortunately the power is out in Glenorchy. We did try to stop the fire from getting into the power lines, but we're unable to. So it has stopped. It has burnt through multiple power poles over probably a kilometre stretch.
Concerns about anyone? Was mentioned there might be some trampers stuck somewhere in there?
There was mention of trampers. Yeah, we did get the police involved and put an aircraft up in the early hours to make sure they were in a different area, and yeah, they proved to be a long way from our fire.
Can I just ask, Mina from Channel 39, what the road closures plan are? So when will they open, and what about the people who are stuck and want to get back into Glenorchy?
Yep, that's a very good question. At this stage we don't have an answer to when that road will be open. As I said earlier, the fire side of things around the road edge is actually very good now. It is all but contained, but it's that rock hazard. So we have got contract engineers out there right now making that assessment. So at this stage, honestly, I can't give you a time for that road to be reopened.
Jamie Reese from Stuff. Just wondering, is there a chance that you know, if wind fans these flames, that residents or houses, buildings, and things could come into the vicinity, I suppose? Yep,
it certainly can. I mean, this area is a high-risk zone in Queenstown. We call it the red zone, long before Christchurch came along in an earthquake. And yeah, there's always that risk. That's why I say we're hitting it very hard to make sure that that doesn't occur.
Can you just give us an idea of the terrain? Is it a scrub, native bush?
Very, very steep native scrub, rising right through into rocky bluffs. So particularly steep, nasty terrain.
And private property or council property?
A mixture of private and some conservation estate.
What's the cause of the fire?
Unknown at this stage.
It's quite dry though up there, Jamie, is it?
It is, yeah. Our fire season's certainly kicking off now. So our fire danger's moved up to high, and we are starting to dry out, yep.
Is there any messages you putting out for locals, apart from the fact that you can't get Glenorchy?
What I'd like to do is introduce my manager, Phil. Phil's the Principal Rural Fire Officer for Otago. He'll be taking over the incident controller's position from me in the next hour. I've had a few too many hours awake, so I'm going to go to sleep. So I'll introduce Phil, and Phil can take you through what is going to happen going forward, and I think he'll have some messages regarding safety, etc. Thank you.
Just give us your name and title for this.
Yeah, Phil Marsh. I'm the Principal Rural Fire Officer for the Otago Rural Fire Authority.
What's the assessment of where things are looking for the rest of the day, the next few days?
I'm getting a handover from Deputy Principal Rural Fire Officer Jamie Cowan after this briefing, and I've got an indication of where the fire's at now. I've just flown over about 9 o'clock this morning and had a look around the site to see the extent of spread and where everybody was. I'm really happy with the efforts that everybody's put in, both from the Otago Rural Fire Authority and the New Zealand Fire Service and the other agencies that are involved, like the police. As was said before, we're moving into a higher risk part of our fire season now, so I really like to put out to people that although it's been a bit of an Indian summer so far, that the stage we're at the moment is that we're really starting to move into a high fire danger for our fire season here. And people, especially people that are visiting the area here, need to be very mindful that we're in a restricted season going into a prohibited season, which means there'll be no fire lighting occurring at all, and to let people know that we can't be out there lighting campfires at the side of the road or lighting fires in open spaces.
Is that a possibility, Phil, a campfire or some sort of thing like that?
Well, it's not known at this stage, and until it's investigated, I wouldn't want to speculate that. But what we need to do is mitigate the chances of the same thing happening somewhere else. So we need to get the message out to people to be on the safe side with what's occurring. Gas cookers and things are fine, but fires at the side of the road or in camp spots and things like that are no good at this time of the year.
Do you have any idea what the crew will be like over the next few days, having to continue to put the fire out?
Oh, look, they'll be getting tired. We'll be rotating them through. Through the night, we'll have to scale back our operations because of the terrain. We're most mindful, is about the safety of our staff. So we're making sure that they are kept safe. So if we pull people back during the evening, we'll be planning for continuing operations tomorrow.
Whereabouts have you got firefighters from, Phil? Can you sort of just give us an indication of, aside from the Queenstown area?
Oh, look, there's people from Luggett, Cromwell, Alexandra. There's a couple of us that come through from Dunedin to help in the incident management team. There's a lot of firefighters from the Department of Conservation. A number of agencies all working together, so we're drawing in resources from all over the place for this fire.
Can you tell me, like, how fast was the response for you guys this morning from the time you called?
The initial response was really quite quick. We have people that are based here in Queenstown, so they could follow up from the New Zealand Fire Service initial response that went off at the beginning, and that meant that throughout the night we could start building things up to make sure we could go with a reasonable size attack on the fire first thing this morning, first light.
Do we know what the estimated damage that this fire has caused?
Well, only to the area that's been burnt so far, which has been approximately 150 hectares.
What do you value on that one?
I couldn't tell you that.
How does it kind of compare to the fire sort of down near Kingston Way a few years ago, Phil?
I haven't been in this role for that period of time, but what I can tell you is we had a fire in Dunedin recently at Logan Point, and to give you an idea of scale, that was about 24 hectares. This is now around 150, so it's quite considerably larger.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Cheers.